Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing? How's everyone doing? Welcome to the Power Hour with me, Miriam K. I hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend. If you are watching, just say hello so I know who and who's here. We have a lot to discuss today, and we also have a very special. I know I say that all about my guest, but we are also going to be having a very special guest tonight, and we are going to be discussing really, really important issues, and that affect a lot of lives, including my own life and a lot of people's lives as well, whether directly or indirectly. So that's what we're going to be doing today. You would have probably seen from the topic, we are going to be discussing stories surrounding, sickle cell disease and the treatment or lack thereof treatment that we receive, but it comes with the condition. So my guest and I are going to be discussing that. I can see the people watching. Say hello. Oh, I can see. Lobo Football Production said, wow. Also, hi. Thanks, Lobo. Thanks for watching. Welcome to the Power Hour. Hope you are having a blessed weekend. My guest today is going to be here in a bit. So how it usually works, we are going to be I'm going to be discussing some of the topics that have been on the news, and that is linked to our main topic today, sickle cell. And these ones are really close to my heart, and I'm trying to just make sure I don't get too emotional or anything, but I'm going to try. So hi Columns, thank you. Hi Ami, thanks for watching. Also guys, can you please, I will appreciate it if you share the broadcast, if you share it, the live. Little Nas, okay, Little Nas XD, please keep your shoes away from me. Yeah, so please, if you are watching this, if you can also share it on your own Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, so we can get more people, because we are going to discuss a topic that's really important. That's a real issue. So I will really appreciate it if you, let's see. Yes, Colum said hello. Hi there. Hi. And Amike Akoma said hi. Hi, Amike. Thank you. We have little Nas XD. Keep your shoes away from me. I'm a child of God. Thank you, though. Wow Football said hi. Thank you. Yellow Jacket said, wow, so many people. Welcome. And Ella Bob said hi. Hi. Thank you all for being here. Much appreciated. And as I said, please, if you can kindly share the live so we can have more people watching. And I'm sure we're going to have more people joining anyway as time goes on. But we're going to get this show started. As I say, today's topic is a topic that is so close to my heart, and which is sickle cell. For those that don't know, I suffer from sickle cell disease, sickle cell anemia. So all my life, I have been greatly impacted by the condition. And so, of course, topics like this are very triggering for me because of my own experiences. And to see that after so many years, we're still going through the same things. It's really quite heartbreaking. And as somebody, I'm not only a sickle cell sufferer, but I'm also a proud advocate, and somebody also is the founder and CEO of a non-profit organization, the Dora Foundation, that helps others with sickle cell and their family and loved ones. So as a result, this is something that I'm greatly passionate about. And our first case study. So today we're going to be looking at negligence and bias treatment towards sickle cell disease. As somebody who has spent a lot of time in and out of hospital, more than I would like or anybody will, I have seen the difference in terms of the way we are treated. I have seen, hi Triple D, I've seen the treatment that we get, and honestly, I have experienced both positive treatment, and as well as negative or not so positive. And I think one of the big issues when it comes to us suffering with sickle cell, and if you know somebody who suffers from the condition, or if you yourself do and you have experiences, I'll be glad to hear it. This is all about, discussing and having an open conversation. We can all learn from one another and from each other's experiences. And one thing that I think we tend to get a lot of is dismissal. Like, we are always just, our issues or our cry for help is regularly dismissed as just, trying to gain attention, or just trying to be difficult. And a prime example of that is, you can go into hospital. I have kids, so I've gone through, labor, childbirth, and I've been in a childbirth center. And when you're there, women are obviously in unbearable pain, and really just, really screaming and expressing the pain that they are feeling, which they have all the right to. But when you're in that kind of setup, it's understandable. Everybody understands they're in labor, so nobody complains. Versus when you are having sickle cell pain, you're having a crisis, and you are also trying to, as much as possible, bear that pain. But as with pain, you're going to express it. It's just like the way we express feeling of joy is also the way we express feeling of pain and sorrow. You cry. When you're happy, you are going to laugh. Miriam K fan. Hi and welcome. Ooh, I got a fan. Thank you. Yeah, so you express yourself when you're, in a situation of labor. Everybody understands. Nobody tells you you're being too much. You are trying to get attention because clearly you are in pain, and it's understandable. But on the other hand, when you are having a crisis, you're having pain. I have been in situations where literally nurses and other people are telling, I can understand saying, oh, please, can you try and bring it down? Because obviously in a birth center, you expect people to be screaming. If you're not there for that, then go somewhere else. That is what you are going to hear. But in a normal ward, and one of the issues as well with our sickle cell, I have not been to a hospital to many. I think it's only one that I've been to in my life that specifically has a sickle cell ward. We are usually just chucked into any ward or any space that any ward that has space, anywhere they can fit us in. So as a result, you're going into a ward where obviously people there, they have their own problems, they have their own issues, and it's understandable that of course you don't want somebody screaming down, but you're expecting that the nurses and the doctors, they will understand and try and talk to that person that I'm really sorry, but this person is having a crisis. We are trying, or they are trying, whatever the case may be, right? You expect that, and many times you do have people that do that, but sometimes you don't, and it's really sad. So we are treated in a whole different way than others, which you already said hello. Oh, she can say hello as many times as she wants. Yes, I mean, you can say hello as many times as you want. It's not a problem. And Queen B speaks, says hello, hello, and welcome. Yeah, so you're expecting a bit of understanding, but sometimes we don't get that. And everybody reacts to that differently. Somebody like myself, I just try my best to hold it, but there are times I can't. I cannot. Recently, I was in A&E, and I was in excruciating pain, and also they were trying to get a line in me. And as strong as I was trying to be, I'm a human, and I've got the same skin as every other human. So after having needles in and out of my body for over 5, 8, 10 times, at that time, I was all cried out. But somebody else in another bed who does not understand that situation going on there is going to complain. But it is you expect, or you will hope for the medical team to be able to make sure that person is treated fairly. So we always don't have that fair treatment, you know. But it is where, hello, Mama, welcome. But it's what it is. But now, when that bias, unfair treatment, it goes to another level where people's lives are being at risk as a result of this unfair treatment and negligence, now that is where we have a big problem. All right. So our first case that we're going to look at today, before we have our guest in, our first case that we're going to look at is the case of Evan Nathan Smith, who is a 19-year, no, he's a 21-year-old young sickle cell patient. He was in hospital, and I think he had had an operation. But after that operation, he was already prescribed oxygen, and all he was trying to do was to get just that understanding and that support. He was trying to get that and let the nurses realize that he needed oxygen. Well, they did not do that. They didn't give him the oxygen, and he ended up developing sepsis and eventually lost his life. He had to dial 999, the UK emergency number, from his bed. Yeah, let that sink in. He had to dial 999 from his hospital bed. He's already in hospital. He's supposed to be under the care of medical personnel, medical professionals, and they didn't give him the care that he needed, that he felt he was desperately in need of, to the point of him calling another medical service because he was desperate to be heard, desperate for oxygen, because he felt he was feeling breathless. And you know what happened? He ended up losing his life as a result of this. And this was back in 2019. It's not recent, but the inquiry into his death happened recently, and the coroner's report came out that if he was given the oxygen that he requested for, if his cry for help was taken seriously, he would have survived. He would not have lost his life. In what world do we have to be that somebody can literally be so desperate for just a breath to be heard, and that person was denied? He was not treated fairly, and this resulted to him losing his life. And this is not just the only case. This is the first of the two cases that we're going to be looking into. So if I could go, let me just share. It's really sad. It's sad and heartbreaking, to say the least, that we're even having to discuss this. This should not be a topic that we should be discussing, because he should not have had to even deal with this, So let me share my screen with you. Okay. Let me just read. I'm just gonna read the report to you. It's really sad. Okay. So that is the case of, okay, hold on 1 second. Mama said, "You're the strongest fighter I've ever come across. Hold it in, sis. You're here for a purpose, and that purpose you will achieve, and your message will be heard by many." Thank you so much, sis. That means a lot. Yeah, so so it's crazy that we have to still deal with these situations. And the second case that's also been on the news, his name is Richard. Let me just pronounce his name properly. Richard Okorogheye. I'm sure my guest will help me with that pronunciation. He is a 19-year-old boy, young man with sickle cell who went missing. He went missing in the end of March, and 2 days after he was missing, his parents, his mom, called to report. They reported him missing, and she told them that at first, they said, well, if you can't find him, how are we supposed to find him? And then she told them that he's got sickle cell. He's out. He hasn't got his medication on him. He's out, and he should be prioritized. It's an urgent situation, because obviously with us, we have to take daily medication. And if this person has been missing for 2 days without anybody hearing from him whatsoever, they said he's an adult. And she's like, yeah, I understand. He's an adult. He's 19, but he's got a medical condition he needs, and also this is out of character. Every parent know your child. This is out of character. He's a young black boy, so of course they're going to expect nothing good they're going to probably think, oh, it's related to his gang activities. He's probably rocked off, or he doesn't want to be found. And she kept insisting. She had to use the power of social media, thankfully, to get the word out there, because the system, yet again, fails another person with sickle cell. And sadly, it took 13 days for there to even be a conclusion to this case, and not the conclusion that anybody expected. A body was later on found, and then I think it was on Thursday, it was confirmed to be the body of Richard. So, and he's his parent only child. Probably because they found out he's got sickle cell, they chose not to have any more. Now they've lost their only child. And they even told the media and the police that Richard was struggling. He was complaining and struggling with shielding with COVID, a pandemic, because as sickle cell patients, we didn't just have to be on lockdown, we have to be shielded. And for a year, I have not seen friends gone out, done all of these things. No, because I've got to shield. There was a time I was getting alerts from NHS not to even step outside my door. And not everybody deals with situation the same. All of us, in terms of mentally, we deal with things differently. But nobody's situation is more important than the other. My question is, when he voiced out that he was struggling, did he get the support he needed? I had to deal with the pandemic, shielding with kids, twins, and then on top of that, I lost my grandma. I was dealing with a lot. But as somebody who has dealt with depression and who is diagnosed with PTSD, this time I was able to notice the signs early, and I spoke to my team, who got me the help that I needed. I just recently ended my session, my counseling sessions with my psychologist. Every week I was meeting up with my psychologist to talk about things, because it is social media makes things seem easy. You know, I can come online and look like this, but you don't know what I'm dealing with behind the scene. You don't know how that may be affecting me mentally. Not everybody is as strong as they appear. And if it turns out that Richard took his life, right now they're still investigating. They did say his death is unexplained. But if it turns out that he took his life, then we have an even bigger problem. Both these two young men with sickle cell were failed by the system that was put in place to protect them. How many lives do we need to lose? Or how many situations like this need to happen before we realize there is a problem? Where is the outcry? Where is the protest? Where is the speech from all the governmental people? Where is that? Where is that? Because that happens when other people lose their lives. We see that. Are their lives not important? The mom said something that broke my heart. She said, Richard's mom said, is it because of we're different? Is it because we speak differently. As a mom, I cannot imagine my child being helpless and me not being there. You know, I cannot imagine. My own mom, I have been in many, many situations where I've had to call my mom because I'm in hospital. Yes, as an adult, they're supposed to, yes, make my decisions, but I am trying to get somebody to listen to me. And at this point, I am in too much pain. I don't have the energy, the strength to deal with the pain I'm dealing with and trying to convince people that this is what I'm going through. There have been times my mom had to leave the house to come to my rescue. Yes, we are adults, but there's certain situations where we all need somebody. We all need that support. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I know this is not going to be probably all achieved in my lifetime, but I will fight until my last breath to make sure that those who do not have a voice are heard, and use my platform to make sure, even if it's one life at a time, one person at a time, I will continue to do that, because every life matters. I may have gone through all of that and be here and be strong, but you cannot expect the next person to. And the worst thing within our African community, the way I did a video recently on my YouTube where I talked about our mentality towards mental health needs to be changed. And here is a big evidence of that, because being a boy as well, a young man, I'm sure Richard would have had those reservations to even voice out the fact that he was struggling. And then to voice out he was struggling and still not be supported and still be failed by the system is really sad. But today I have my wonderful guest with me, Kemi Tijani, and she is also a warrior, a true hero. She's a survivor and an advocate. Just the same way I do, she is here to give voice to also those that don't have as much of a voice, or maybe the platform or the strength. And we will keep fighting. We will. And even if not in our lifetime, we are fighting not just for ourselves, but for those behind us, for those coming up. So because if we walk today, they will fly tomorrow. If we crawl today, they will walk tomorrow. If we fly, they will make it all the way to the sky. That is why this fight. But we cannot do this alone. We need you. We need you. We need you to share this message. We need for all of us to have an understanding, be educated. We are not trying to throw in your face. We come in peace, as peaceful as possible, but things need to start changing. I'm going to welcome my guest now. Welcome,
Hello.
welcome, Kemi.
Hi,
Isn't she
Miriam.
lovely?
It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much. Just before we go on with Kemi, let me just go through some of the comments that I might have missed by getting so passionate. But it's because this touches my heart. Let's go. All right. Mama again said, okay, I think I hold it. Yeah, I've read this. I've read this. And then JC said, I'm taking notes, media supervisor. I said, I'm taking notes, media supervisor. I'm just trying, but thank you, bro. Thanks for your support. And Mama said, look at how they take Madeline McCain's case, the amount of millions on her missing case, and in Richard's case, look at the way it was dealt with. It says it all. It says it all. Indeed. A sad but true. Indeed. Indeed. Exactly. And Amike Akoma said, that is true. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, welcoming you. Thank you all so much. Welcome, Kemi. Welcome. How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm
All
doing
right.
good.
Okay. So, would you like to just tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, hi everyone. For everybody watching me all over the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all well. My name is Kemi Tijani. I'm a mom of 3 children. I'm a sickle cell survivor. I lived with sickle cell for 35 years before I got a bone marrow transplant. And here I am today. This is my 6th year of being free from sickle cell. So that is all about me for now. I know there's still many more. And I know Miriam will draw some of that out from our conversation, which I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You just with those few words, you've already like just, I'm sure, got everybody excited, especially when you talk about the bone marrow transplant, because a lot of people think there is no hope whatsoever when it comes to sickle cell. And this is why it's really important we talk about these things and we shed light to them, so
Mm-hmm.
people know that there is hope. And and also, one thing that I really love about what you do is all about flourishing with sickle cell. So even
Yes.
if you do have, even if you are going through it, that you can still flourish, you can still go on and live somewhat well fulfilled life. So what has been your experience with sickle cell? Like, from what age did you start experiencing the pain, or what age did you realize something was wrong?
Yeah, I I thought I was like everybody else until when I tried to run with my friends and play with them at a very young age. From age 4, 5, I realized I wasn't as strong, but I didn't know why. Nobody knew. My parents didn't know. But my mom used to tell me I was much sicker compared to the other children. So they probably knew something was wrong, but they couldn't tell what it was. So by the time I was 9, I was very sick, and to the point that my liver was already changing color. So they rushed me to the hospital, and that was when they find out that they thought I was it was jaundice, because I was yellow from my skin became yellow, the color of my eyes, my palm, and everything. So they thought it was jaundice until they took me to this private hospital and they did all kind of tests, and it was sickle cell came up at that time.
Oh.
And by the following year, I started having crisis. And for some reason, maybe my parents didn't believe uh, what the doctor has said. And they tried to take, I remember they take me to everywhere, including doctors, pastors, everything you can imagine, to seek for second opinion. And they have this idea in their mind. When I was having crisis, they thought I had rheumatism. I think rheumatism is a kind of bone pain, and they thought that was what I was having every time I have crisis. And they were looking for medicine for rheumatism. So I was having crisis almost every month. At the time, I remember I was like every Friday. I don't know what is about Friday at the time. I get crisis. If I play in the rain, I'll get pain in my bone. And what I would do, we had a very huge sitting room at the time. I would just roll from one end of the room to another because my body couldn't just stay still. I couldn't sit. Sometimes if the pain is in my leg, I can't move the leg and the pain would travel. The pain could start from one leg and travel to the other leg and go to the chest, go to the hand, go to every part of the body. So that was my life growing up. And by the time I was in primary school, secondary school, I began to learn my body is different. I'm different compared to other children. Even nobody told me, nobody explained to me. I remember a conversation with why my parent was seeking second opinion. They took me to this doctor, and the doctor looked straight in my dad's eyes and said, if you have 10 children and if all of them become sick, carry this one first. And he pointed at me. I was like, why will I be the one what is wrong with me, for God's sake? But eventually I got to understand that definitely there was something with my blood that was different. Eventually I understand sickle cell. But nobody told me, nobody sat me down to explain, oh, this is your condition, this is how it's going to affect your life, this is it. No. It's just from conversation. Maybe while they are telling their friends, oh, then I keep hearing sickle cell, sickle cell. Yeah, that was when I got to know. My university days was tough. Eventually, I had to leave Nigeria. I moved into Ireland where I currently reside. And yeah, that is it so far. But one thing I can say about the treatments is in Nigeria, where I was born and where I went through my school years and all that, they know about sickle cell. Everybody know it's a popular thing, but even though they don't talk about it, even though people, even in my family, at a point, they thought I was pretending. They thought I was lazy if I say I have pain, because 1 minute I was playing, I was running around. The next minute I sit down, I say, oh, my leg, or I burst into tears. They're like, why are you crying? You were just playing 1 minute ago. What's going on? That is how sickle cell is. It could be one thing 1 minute, the next thing you get a full-blown crisis. So that, even my family, they thought I was pretending. But I think in the hospital, when they hear the word sickle cell, they know. Compared to here, sickle cell seems to be a language hematology doctors and nurses understand. But when it's outside that circle, it becomes a strange language.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that as well. That back in, like, in Africa, we know when you say sickle cell, people, even if they don't have the full understanding, or even if what they know might not be completely right, they
Mm-hmm.
still are aware of it. But growing up in Africa, like, did you deal with like any, like, how were you treated by others? Like, were there any stigmas? Did people look at you differently to others? Or if you had siblings, was there like different treatments that you got to them?
Like I said, my parents knew that something was wrong, and they seems to be the only one that understand. My brothers and sisters did not understand, and many times they thought I was pretending. Maybe if my brothers and sisters were educated, things would have been different. It took a long time before they came on board. And my friends, Well, I didn't have many friends because nobody wants to play with the person that is weak. If they have to run around, nobody wants to pick the weakest link. So sometimes I had to sit aside and watch my friends play from far. Sometimes people will look at my eyes because my eyes is yellow and call me sickler. What is wrong with this sickler? What's wrong with your eyes? Maybe is a way, maybe they are concerned, but the way they put it is like there's a disease around you that
Yeah,
nobody wants to associate with.
yeah. And I think as well, the word itself, sickler. Um, growing up, I knew of sickler much
Mm,
even before sickle cell software.
mm,
So to like, I knew I was a sickler, but I didn't know for a long time when I was younger that I had sickle cell. That was a sickle cell software because everybody says sickler, sickler. And just as you say, I think that whole thing of people thinking that we are weak, lazy, that is something that I experienced as well.
mm.
And to the point, when they say sports, I was a huge spectator. Like I was the cheerleader. Like you guys run, I am gonna stay and cheer you on. If if
Mm-hmm.
if they were giving prizes for cheering, I would win
To
those
be the one
ones.
to win.
Yes, if they were giving
Yeah.
prizes for that, I would clearly like win because I would be like backbencher just cheering on,
Mm,
because everybody just kind of, and nobody wanted me their team as well. And that is one of the things I think as well, the encouragement is
mm.
not there because of the stigmas linked to it being weak, sickler,
Yes.
and all those words that are being used. I just wanted to remind everyone, please, can you share the live on your own Facebook as well? When you share it, then others are able to watch as well through so people, your own friends can access the live stream because we want people to chime in as well, their own, even if, certain things that they may not know, so they can learn. Because when we all learn,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting it directly from us that have been on the receiving end, that understanding, it will help to just make things better. Because there's situations that we deal with people that don't have that are doing this thing, sometimes they don't have the knowledge, but
Mm,
when you are able to hear it from the horse's mouth,
yeah.
then it may change your views and moving forward. Because clearly you see two women sitting in front of you. We are both moms,
Mm,
we are hardworking women, we are both, people that are educated. Does that
mm.
say lazy to you?
No.
Is that your definition of lazy? If
No.
it is, then I'm happy to be lazy, I guess. So just to change this kind of views, that's why it's really important that we just get it out there as wide as possible, you know. So when you came overseas and your island, how was it then? What was the experience?
Wow. Before we move on to that question, I just remember being called a witch as well. I was asked to confess why I was sick all the time. I was asked if I came from spiritual world to waste my parents' money, then I eventually die after I have finished their wealth. So all this type of, and at the point, a friend of my dad advised him, don't get close to this child because obviously my dad loved me and he didn't hide it. And he said, don't get close to this child because this child will die soon. This child will not see 21. So don't get too attached. So by the time she died, don't miss her too much. This is what I heard in my own ears. I think people should be mindful of what, even if the child, even if you
The
know for
words.
sure the person is going to die.
A lot of
You
people.
know, you don't treat people that way.
These words, how
Anyway,
it is.
yeah, exactly. And there is power in our words. We need to be wise the way we use it. I remember being 10-year-old. My sister passed away in 1989. I was just 9 at the time. And every time you hear such words, sickler, this, that, at a point I was hearing voices like, oh, you are the one that is going to die next. And I remember in our Sunday school, because I came from a Christian home and my parents took me to the church. In the Sunday school, I remember they gave us this memory verse, and it says, I will not die but live to declare the works of God. And in my little knowledge at that age, I remember such word. And every time I hear it, it's like the word is just directly in my ears. Like somebody was standing next to me to say, you are the next person to die. You are the one, you are dying soon. And I kept saying that word. I will not die, I will live. And I will proclaim the words of God. Those are the things that says back. So there is power in our words. There is power in what we say to other people and what we say to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. There's one thing I always say, growing up and even to now, that one thing I always say, that I have sickle cell. Sickle cell doesn't have me, and I will never let sickle cell have me,
Amen.
because I know the day that I will give in is the day that
Mm,
I will lose that strength, that
yes.
fighting spirit. So these words are very important. What people say to you, what you say to yourself, even
Mm-hmm.
more important to what you truly believe.
Yes.
And that is still how I am. That I am not going, as difficult as it gets, I will not let sickle cell overpower.
Oh,
And
yes.
so, what was your experience then coming over being with, like, overseas in Ireland? What was your experience there in terms of people, the treatment, the understanding, and
Mhm.
all of that?
My experience was painful when I came. I remember my first crisis. I'm writing a book about my story at the moment, and that was what I was writing yesterday. And whew, that day at the A&E, I was crying for pain. They offered me morphine, and this morphine did not do anything, nothing at all. I was crying so much. I was crying to the nurse, please help me. And she told me, she said, the morphine I gave to you, if I give it to the biggest cow, that's going to knock the cow down. And here you are still crying for more. At that time, they didn't know what to do, you know. But eventually, they put that pain under control. But I have seen different doctors. I have seen different nurses in my lifetime, especially here in Highland. I have seen doctors and nurses that have no idea what they are supposed to do. I have seen nurses, while I was in crisis, I have been slapped by a nurse that told me to keep quiet because I had crisis in the middle of the night and I was crying for help. Sometimes when you get this type of treatment, you are not crying for that pain from crisis anymore. It's the pain of being misunderstood. It's the pain of being misjudged. It's the pain that is not supposed to be inflated from people that are supposed to care, not a judge. And I will use this opportunity to appeal to every healthcare workers. I know with COVID-19, we are all praising you guys. You are doing great. But with sickle cell, guys, you need to step up. We need to do more. These type of stories are not heard because nobody died. These stories are not heard because nothing was damaged, but mentally you are damaging sickle cell patients
And their families.
and their families. I remember one day I just had a baby and I had crisis. I was in A&E. When they took me by ambulance, they gave me painkiller, they gave me everything I need. Until a few hours later, because the A&E was so full, they pushed me out of the cubicle to the corridor, waiting to get a bed in the ward. Why was there? The pain came back and it was a full-blown crisis. And I was crying for help. This is a hospital with so many doctors around. A&E now, guys. Doctors were passing by, nurses were passing by, and I was crying for help. The pain was so much that I couldn't talk. This is me trying, excuse me, help me. And they walked very fast past me. And the people that came to visit the other patient, they were just looking at me. Why is this one crying? They just looked at me and looked away. And I was just crying, God help me. God, that was...
Or they come and close the curtain so you don't disturb others.
Actually, that was a different one now, because that was when I was slapped. That the nurse practically closed the curtain and said I should keep quiet. I shouldn't disturb other people. But this other experience happened in A&E. I was right there, crying for help. And I was almost falling out of my bed because I had to move. My body couldn't stay still. And my phone rang. And something told me, pick up your phone. Gather yourself up and pick up your phone. And I did pick up my phone. It was my husband. And I told my husband, I am dying here. Please call the hospital. Guys, realize I'm already in the hospital. I said, call the hospital. Call my team, the hematology team. They are the one that know I'm not pretending. They are the only one that understand the pain I'm going through. Call the hematology team. Tell them I am here. I'm dying. About 10 minutes later, a nurse rushed to me and said, are you Kemi Tijani? I said, yes. And that was my saving grace. I cannot imagine being in hospital and calling for help. Almost exactly thing that happened to Evan. That shouldn't be happening. And the fact that sickle cell is such an enemy to a Black person in this country, in a white man land, it actually differentiates you already. Then you are crying for help, for medicine that they think you're addicted to. Sickle cell is such an enemy. There have to be a way out.
That the odds are all stacked against us.
Exactly.
The fact that we are Black, they already think that we are loud, we're difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You are African, they've heard you spoken, so they've already dismissed us as being loud and obnoxious. And so most of the time, I feel like and I've experienced it myself, they have preconceived ideas already. So before they even ask what is your name, they already have their mindset. They have their mindset. Because sometimes when I've had a nurse tell me, when she started at a ward she's never been before that had sickle cell patient, the other nurses she met there were telling her, oh, ignore them, they always call you, they're always buzzing, ignore them. Ignore them until something terrible happens. So when you are already putting that mindset on them, that person is training. So this is the training they're receiving. How are they going to take it serious? There've been so many times that later on, maybe when the pain is better. So because I always try and use even the most difficult of situations where I've been treated bad, I always try and use it as a learning experience for both me and the person involved, because I want them to understand where I'm coming from. And most of the time they end up being so shocked that, they'll see me on my laptop. Oh, what you doing? Are you in school? No, I finished uni. Oh, is it? Oh, they hear me talking to my kids. Oh, your mom? Yeah. Because to them, I am just a patient.
Hmm.
But I am more than that. I am a mother. They'll be like, oh, you're in pain, but you're on the phone. I have to check on my kids.
Hmm.
Just because I'm unwell does not mean I am no longer a mom.
Hmm.
I'm in hospital checking on my kids, making sure that even though I know they're okay, but they are young, they don't fully understand what's going on. So I still
It-
need to make sure they understand that mommy's all right, I'm coming soon. Mommy just needs to get better. I have a role to play. So if me being on the phone means I'm not in pain, because I'm telling you I'm in pain, but I'm on the phone, how do you even think the both of them? So all of these preconceived ideas that people come with, we need to change them. You need to try and get to know people individually. Don't come prejudging them before you even know them, because we're more than just patients. We have loved ones, people that care about us, people that love us, people that are concerned for us, and
hmm.
people who our absence will affect their life. And I always tell them, when your time comes, you check out, you drop your uniform wherever you go home. That
Hmm.
is it. No matter what happens, I have to continue. This is my life. I cannot check out of it. Your job ends. You go home to your family. That is it. Your shift is over. But mine doesn't. This is 24/7 every day for me. And
You
that
know
is
what?
what
You know why I'm shaking my head, Miriam? While you were saying this, I've been in crisis several times while I'm still breastfeeding. With every chest trying to relieve myself to keep my milk flowing. I remember when I was pregnant with my third child, I had crisis. And why my husband was, because it happened in the middle of the night, my husband drove me to the hospital.
mm,
And on our way, we called my team, the hematology team. So they already called the maternity ward that I was coming and the painkiller they are supposed to give me. So I got there, got pain relief, got IV fluid, got oxygen, end of story. Everything was under control. And few days under close supervision, they allowed me to go back home. Exactly 1 week later, hmm, exactly 1 week later, I got another crisis. The same time in the middle of the night. But it was so bad that we forgot to call the hematology team. We just went straight because we had our other two children sleeping that we just took in their pajamas and threw them in the car with us. And by this time, I was 37 weeks pregnant. So my husband drove me to the same maternity ward, the same nurses on duty last week. And they refused to give me painkiller. They refused. And I was saying to my husband, please don't let these people kill me. I do not want to die here. And my husband had to call right there and there before the doctor told them to give me painkiller. What if we can't get the doctor?
exactly. Exactly.
And after the crisis settled down, few hours later my water broke. And that was when I had my third child because I was already in the hospital.
Yeah.
distress. I'm not
Mhm.
saying all nurses are this way.
Yeah,
There are some
exactly.
amazing
People. Mhm.
nurses,
Yeah,
amazing doctors that even when they don't know, they listen to you. They trust you that, okay, I don't know what you're going through, but I trust what you're saying.
yeah,
But some, even when they have gotten instruction, they
yeah,
still determine what they
yeah,
think you need.
yeah.
But
I experienced.
like I said, sickle cell is such an enemy
Mm.
because there's no test they can do to determine the pain you have, how severe it is. There's no test. Assuming there's a test, maybe they can see for themselves.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, there's no test. They just have to trust your words. They
yeah,
just have to take your words and believe you and do what they have to do before it's too late.
yeah. It's really sad. I remember when I was pregnant as well with my twins, and I was in hospital, in out, same people, same nurses, and all of that. And I remember one of the midwives telling me I was selfish
Oh my
to
God.
be having kids, because why am I going to bring kids into this world to suffer having me as a mom?
Oh no.
Yep.
Your job is
And
not a job.
to
God.
this day, every time that I'm unwell, I'm away, it rings in my head. Every time I'm away, it rings in my head. Every time they have to be shuffled because I'm unwell, I remember those words. And I start
Hmm.
thinking to myself, maybe she was right. So people need to realize the weight of your words
Hmm.
when you're saying this to people. But I want us to really, come to something, let's say, that will give a hope to people, because obviously with sickle cell comes a lot of things that make you lose hope.
Hmm.
But your thankfully, your own story has had somewhat of, you know happened. At least you've got some sort of stability, which is what a lot of people really just looking for, that hope, saving grace, that treatment, that's just, that we're all ready to do anything for.
Hmm.
So I want to talk about, well, I want us to touch on the bone marrow transplant that
Mm-hmm.
you did eventually.
Mm-hmm.
First, what led to you wanting to take that route?
Mm-hmm. I wasn't living life. I was only existing. I wasn't enjoying my children. I wasn't enjoying my marriage. Every day I had pain. When I say every day I have pain, these are pain from bending down. Sometimes when I get my period and I get back pain, some people get tummy pain, I get back pain. And that will invite crisis as well. So these are my daily activity, was trying to survive the pain, take care of my children, and if it's a pain that becomes unmanageable, then that's when I go to the hospital. So I couldn't work, I couldn't commit to any course or education, I couldn't do any of that. This sickle cell just stood like a wall that's just, I couldn't penetrate anything. And at a point, people will call me from home. So what are you doing now? And there's nothing I can say I'm doing. There was nothing I could point to. And I was like, why am I even living? Nothing. The only thing I can say, okay, I'm married and I have children. I'm a big advocate of, because you are married, because you have children, doesn't mean your life is over. God made you for a reason. And that was it until I was in church and I heard a testimony. I go to a very small church, and somebody was saying, oh, my brother is having a bone marrow transplant, that we should pray, that he's having some symptoms. And I said, bone marrow. So the lady came to me afterward and said, do you hear what I said? I said, I heard you. Did I hear correctly? Bone marrow transplant for your brother. How old is your brother? And he said he's almost 40. I'm like, really? Do they do it for a 40-year-old person? What I've heard all my life is bone marrow transplant can be done for young children. That's what I've heard. I've never heard it to be done for older, for adults. So at first I didn't take it seriously until sometimes when it's time for something, you just know it's time.
Mhm.
And within 2 weeks, I just had a baby now. I just had my third child. She was around 4 months because I was still breastfeeding. So I got this crisis. It was so bad. That was the worst thing you could have. When you have a crisis and it's like people are around you, but it's like they are not there. You are like in a world of your own, praying to just die. God, take me. This is it. I can't bear this anymore. That was the type I had within 2 weeks. And by the second crisis I got, I was in hospital and I was there for 3 weeks because the pain couldn't just go away. They kept giving me morphine, they gave me petidine, they gave me oxycodone, all this medicine. This pain couldn't just go. And that is when the sister and her husband visited me in the hospital. And they told me the name of the hospital. That was all they told me. And at that point, I've had enough of sickle cell. And I took my phone and I put that name in Google and I started researching. And a name came up. There was a phone number and I started calling that number right there from the hospital. I didn't get any luck until about a month. I kept calling every day. But because of the time difference
Yeah.
and because the nurses move around a lot, so I was missing them a lot.
So
And
was the center it was in another country,
it
not
was in
UK?
it was in another country. Yeah.
Okay. In
Because of
America?
the Yes, it's in the US. And
Ah.
because of the time difference, I was
Mhm.
missing. I would call them morning, I would call them in the evening, but I wasn't getting any luck until one day. So before that, I went back to the couple and I said, I've been calling, I've been trying to get contact. What do I do? Please give me the contact. Ask your brother to give me any contact.
Mhm.
So the contact that came back was the same one that I already found. And I say, well, that's okay. If this is the right person, the person will hear from me. So I kept persisting. I kept calling until one day, finally, somebody picked up. And that was it. That was the beginning. She told me what to do immediately. Do I have a sister? So with the type of bone marrow I did, I got a donor. And the donor was within my family. I had 3 sisters.
Mhm.
All 3 of them were tested. One of them was 100% match as me, the same blood group, and the other sister was 50% match, and the other sister was zero match. So, and one of the things that is really important, apart from the bone marrow matching, the blood group has to match as well.
Okay, yes. I was going to ask, what are the criteria if somebody wants to do the bone marrow transplant? So you need a donor that is a match, a sibling.
And right now, I hear of gene therapy.
Mm.
With gene therapy, you don't need a match.
Okay.
You don't need anyone to donate to you.
Okay.
So they can actually use your own cells.
Oh.
Yes, and they transplant it back to you. So I know that exists, and other type of transplant I've heard of is where other people donate, people outside of your family. So I heard of that. But the one I did, my sister donated for me. She was my 100% match. And
Mhm.
also the same, we have the same blood group. So that was it. There was a lot of obstacle on the ways, but yeah, eventually we were both there because my sister was in another country. I'm in
Mhm.
another country, and the hospital is in another country entirely. So
Oh,
getting all of us to promised land, it
mm.
wasn't easy.
Mm.
That's in fact, if I have to write that down, it will take like 2 chapters in my book.
I can imagine.
Mm.
But the process itself, when once all of that was done and you were all in the same country, what was the process itself? How long did it take? What did you have to go through?
Yeah, eventually it was difficult getting her across to the hospital in the US. But when we did, I was there for 6 months. We were there together. The treatment takes 6 months. And I think the first month it was just checkup. Check everything you can imagine. Check the brain, the
Mm.
eyes, the breathing, the teeth, the heart, the lungs, the density of the bone,
Mm.
everything. Because if they kill the bone marrow through chemotherapy and radiation,
Mm. Yeah,
any little thing could kill you.
there you. Yep.
So they have to make sure you don't have any tooth
Mhm.
issue. If there is any issue, they'll take care of it
Mhm.
before the transplant. The hospital was so thorough. They didn't take any chances. And they have done it so much that they can practically tell you, if we do
Yeah.
this, this is what is going to happen.
Happen.
And if this happens, this is what we are going to do. They know their job so well.
Mm.
So
Why
it took
didn't you do it in the
months.
UK? Because I know they do. Why was it US instead of like within Britain? Britain.
I didn't
Because a lot
restrict
of people.
myself.
Mhm.
I didn't restrict myself at all. And I think we should all have that mindset. We should go to where help is available. At the end of the day, we are the ones suffering. You are the one suffering. Even doctors and nurses don't even know the pain you're suffering. You are the one, it's your body. So if there is help in Australia, so
But
don't
did you
insist.
try in the UK first? Because I know I've
I
gone through the
tried, I
UK.
tried, I tried Switzerland as well.
Mhm.
The reason why I tried, because there was already a way in the US, and I already see patients they did the same transplant for. So I was sure they know what they were doing and they were going to do a good job. I already seen a patient.
Yes.
But when there was, like I said, there was issues on the way. My sister didn't get a visa. Twice she was thrown out of the embassy. Yes, she was thrown out of the embassy. But God is so good. After that, it was the embassy that called her to come and take her visa. That was it. That was a miracle, I'm telling you. But I think that's a story for another day.
Hey.
So
Mhm.
while we were waiting, maybe she's going to get a visa or not, I tried the UK, I tried Switzerland as well, but it wasn't clicking. There was a lot of stumbling block. There was a lot of things, lot of requirements, lot of no. So
Yeah.
I was the one suffering. I couldn't, I was just fed up with sickle cell at that point.
Yeah.
You know.
Understand. Understandable. So when once the process was done, you went back to Ireland. What was your experience after? Since then,
Hmm.
how did your life? How did that change your life?
Oh my God. For me, it was like living a dream because before when I wake up, from standing up to my bed, It's only when I have a very hot shower, that is when my body is awake. So without my shower in the morning while I was sickle cell, no. There was a particular way if I move, it's like my bone is going to break. So I just crawl myself to the bathroom and put myself in a very hot water. Now. But none of that was happening anymore. I wake up, I do things. When I came back, immediately I went for a program, I went to school. These are the things I couldn't do before. I started working with kids. I work with kids with special need as well. I do volunteer work. Then after that, following year, I went for another course. I went to study about specialty in food production because I love food so much,
Yeah.
and nutrition included in that course. So I really want to help people learn about what they eat, what food does to their body, and how to get the benefit of food and let food work for them and not against them. So I went for that course. I could live every day. I work. I'm a mother. I come back to do my mother duty. I write. Now I do flourishing life with sickle cell.
Yes.
But one thing I could say is sickle cell left a lot of scar in my body that bone marrow could not take care of, at least for now. Like right now, I still experience ankle pain and knee pain. These are joints that was going through crisis pain for a
All the time.
number of
Yep.
years.
Yep.
Even though I was told my body is going to continue to heal,
Yeah.
especially my internal organ. And I also find out that my liver was almost shutting down before I had the transplant. And meaning because of a lot of blood transfusion I have had in the past, there was so much iron in my liver that my liver couldn't handle. So if I did not do that, my liver could have shut down just in a year or two. So that will continue to heal by itself. It's so amazing how our body can heal itself. It's just putting the right thing and removing the bad stuff. So our body has that capacity. But one thing that I've seen recently that gave me relief is when they took, because I still have a lot of iron. I've been on medication for a number of years to take it out, but there's still a lot. But recently I got some blood drawn. I was the one receiving blood. Now the blood is like too much. So when they draw out of it, I felt a bit of relief for weeks. So I'm looking forward to going for that treatment where they take some of those iron out by blood drawn. So those blood can be given to somebody. I would love to be able to donate
Donate.
my blood for transfusion, but hopefully I'll get there, but I'm not sure. But another thing I did as well, while I was in the US, I went through chemotherapy and radiation. So it's nothing to be scared about. Bone marrow transplant itself is so easy. It's like taking a blood transfusion. That was how I got it. Radiation was just like a light. So if they didn't tell you, you won't even know. It's like going in a room with a big light. That's it. And chemotherapy was just like getting IV fluid. Yeah, I was shaky afterwards. But like I said, the doctors, the hospital know so much about what they are doing, and they have done it for so many people, to the sense that they knew how I was going to feel after. They already have standby what they are supposed to do. So immediately I was feeling a certain way. I get medicine and injection to make sure they were able to be in control. Yeah.
It's so good. And just as you said, being able, but what I love about everything that you've gone through, and is the fact that you want to use this to help others, not just for your own benefit or your family, but to help others. You talked about flourishing with sickle cell, and I went to one of your webinars that you
Mhm.
did. And even though I am somebody that, I'm an advocate, I do a lot of research into sickle cell, talk about sickle cell, I learned so much that day as well, that I am now able to also pass on to other people.
Mhm.
And through my foundation, we can then teach that to other people as well. So the course is really, really great.
Thank
And I know you had the webinars, but you plan on doing more of that,
you.
and
Definitely,
how
definitely. I'm planning on the next one.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you also do you do the Instagram lives as well, and you've had different people there, and myself included, and it's really, really great. So how can people, like, if they want to know more about what you're doing and they want to be updated with like the webinars, or if they're coming up, and this is not just for those that have sickle cell, family, friends, and medical professionals, during the time I did it, we had all sort of people there, or just if you want to learn something, because you talk
Mhm.
about nutrition, and not just linked to sickle cell, but any other thing, and how nutrition can really help you in terms of your
Yes.
health. How can somebody reach out to you, or find more information?
At the moment, you can reach me through my Instagram handle is Kemi Tom
Yeah.
2002 is KEMITOM 2002. You can reach me. I've been getting a lot of DMs from around the world about them having sickle cell, having questions about transplants and all that. I still got a call from South Africa just yesterday. You
Yeah.
know, when I came back in 2016, I was so eager to tell everyone my story that now there is a new
Yeah.
solution. There is help. There is solution for sickle cell. The fact that you are born with sickle cell doesn't mean sickle cell need to take that life. It doesn't mean that at all. So I was so excited to tell people, but nobody listened. But I'm really glad that I attended this Speak for Good masterclass by Feladro Toye that gave me the confidence I did not realize I had, you know, because plus sickle cell, I have two children with special need as well. I'm dealing with autism. So when I told people about my experience and they didn't listen, I just focused on my children and my family. But when I did that course, I realized the pain I had gone through is not just for me, it's to bring relief to other people. They don't have to go through the pain they are going through right now. And bone marrow transplant may not be for everyone. Maybe because being sickle cell doesn't just give you an automatical pass to do the bone marrow transplant. There are some criteria that need to be fulfilled. Miriam, can you hear me? I think Miriam is a bit frozen there. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'll keep going. Hopefully the system comes back. So as I was saying, so apart from dealing with sickle cell, dealing with autism as well, and
Oh, sorry, Kemi, my
yeah,
internet just went out.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm not sure the last thing you heard me say.
no, I think the last thing was when I was asking about the yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, when I was asking about the flourishing with, and what the plans are, and I also put your details. I hope people were able to see it, your Instagram.
Yeah, I think I could see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
God.
yeah, like I said, I did a master class, Speak for Good by Fela Drotoye, and that gave me confidence. And I realized the pain I had gone through with sickle cell is not just for me, and it's not a suffering from God or anything. The fact that I gone through that pain, other people don't need to go through it. And it's by me sharing my story and for them taking that step. Bone marrow transplant may not be for everyone, because the fact that you have sickle cell or I have sickle cell doesn't mean it's an automatical thing for you to just have bone marrow. There are some criteria that need to be met. You have to be sick enough. You have to have tried hydroxyurea and it hasn't worked. So if hydroxyurea is working, I'm not sure if they are going to consider it unless you're going private. So that is still possible. But I think everybody have to make their own individual decision. So, and one thing I have found out as well is, even if you don't go through bone marrow transplant, do you know of every other alternative solution that is out there? Only today I was researching and I found out that there's a machine that if you do with blood exchange, people are living their full life with it.
I do blood exchange.
Exactly.
But there
And
are options, yeah. You but
exactly. There are other options. There is
do
nutrition
your
as well.
research. Yeah.
There is nutrition. You can use nutrition to put things under control. This is really, really possible, and it's something you can be deliberate about. If you need help with this in the nutrition part, in your well-being, you can contact me at Kemi 2002. I'm
Mm,
putting some things together to like a guide in terms of the way you can live your daily life to help you prevent triggers of crisis, and what you can eat on a daily basis that could help you with your iron and blood flow, keep you hydrated. So these are the things, materials I'm putting together at the moment to help everyone out there, whether you are a parent or you are a patient yourself, something you can start giving to your children right now to prevent, at least to keep this crisis away for a long time.
yeah.
So those are what I'm doing right now, to just give that support. The fact that we have sickle cell, the fact that we are born with sickle cell doesn't mean we can't live a life God has ordained. We can still live our life to the fullest, and we
Mm,
can still flourish, and
yeah.
it's by understanding. And I think as a sickle cell patient, we are all ambassadors. We need to hold each other's hands. We need to participate in this health system thing, because even for the doctors, they only studied sickle cell in school. We should be teaching them. It is time we need to arise and be in their lecture room and tell them what sickle cell is. It's not
That
what they read about us and they
yeah,
come and tell us what to
yeah,
do. We need to rise up.
yeah.
We
Exactly.
need to be part of that constitution.
Yep. Because
That
when
when
you join the knowledge together, it does a lot. I do that, like where I take part in, when they do their training courses, because when you add the theoretical with the practical knowledge, each person benefits. So we need to
yes,
go out and play our part.
we need to. We can't be quiet anymore. We have been quiet. What is happening? Another person is dead. How many people is going to be dead before we wake up? How many people? We need to let our voice be heard. We need to amplify it by coming together. We don't need to wait until we are affected or our children is affected with sickle cell. That's when we need to say something. We need to come together right now and be part of the lawmakers. Let us tell them what sickle cell is, how it affects our daily activity. They shouldn't
Yeah.
be determined to us. They shouldn't be telling us. We should be telling them this is how we feel, this is
Mm-hmm.
what we want. And there should be a standard procedure for treatment in every hospital. I heard in that hospital where everyone passed away, they have
They're doing
dedicate a ward and more training for the staff. Are they doing
But
it
they
in
shouldn't do it just that hospital.
are,
They have.
that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm confused. Are they doing it for other hospitals?
Mhm.
Or it's just to say, okay, this happened and this is what we did? Is that it?
Yeah, exactly.
There has to be a standard procedure care plan
Mhm.
for every sickle cell patient.
Exactly.
Sickle cell patient don't need to be suffering. The
Exactly.
pain is too bad than for you to be begging for painkillers. It's too bad. You shouldn't. Nobody needs to slap anyone.
Mhm.
If somebody is sick, give them the care they need. Don't be a judge.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. Thank you so much, Kemi. Before we leave you, beautiful people, if you have any questions that you would like for me or Kemi or both of us to answer, please you can write them. But while we're waiting for your questions, let me just go through some of the messages that we've had while we've been going on. Okay. Miriam Kalong said, true, most people say that a sickle cell patient will not pass or reach the age of 21. Exactly. Faith plays a great role in us. It's all about what you accept and believe in. Very true. Very
Mhm.
true. And people need to really think about what they're saying. And then Alaji Lim Mokaba, who is actually one of my team members of the Door Foundation, said, Miriam, you are a great sickle cell fighter. Thank you. We all with sickle cell are, we're doing. And Mariama said as well, honestly, sometimes even our own black nurses are the ones who treat us badly in most cases, thinking they are superior. It's sad. I've
Oh my
experienced that many, many, many times. It's sad. You do
wow.
also have great ones, but sadly, you have
Yeah.
those as well. Is a thing power. And then, yeah, like I said, my
Mhm.
CEO is a true warrior. Keep it up. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And then Queen B speaks, says, Warrior Queens. Thank you.
Thank you
Our
for
fellow
saying.
queen. Mama Karen said, words can be very damaging. 100%. And Olayinka said, the whole book will be full of your testimony. Indeed, her book will, and I cannot wait to have a copy of it. And then yeah, when we couldn't hear. Um, and then Mama said, I think it's due to the specialist and quality of treatments they provide. Sometimes we have to look into all that. We have to look at all angles, really. We really have to. Kemi, I'm just so grateful to have you here, to just talk about these things. Because sometimes, we go through these things, but when somebody else is kind of saying, you're like, oh, I'm not crazy.
Mm.
And you're really strong. I really admire your work and everything that you do. Please, let's go and support Kemi. This is not the last time. We're definitely going to be having her when the guide comes out. We'll be waiting on the book and all of that. We're here supporting one another behind the scene
Mhm.
and just motivating one another. We
Yeah,
thank you so much for watching.
definitely.
Kemi, do you have anything else to say before we go? Because there are no questions. I guess people have heard what they need to hear.
I
Let's
think
let
so.
them everything sink in. If you do have any questions, you can always still just put in a comment. If you're watching this later, because I know it's not everybody that's watching now. If you're
Mhm.
watching it later, you have a question, put in a comment, and myself or Kemi, we can always come back and answer it. So, is
Definitely.
there anything else you need to say or any last words?
I would say, as patients living with sickle cell, don't give up. Be strong. Don't let sickle cell break you. Don't let the system break you either. You are stronger than you think. And keep going. Keep going. We are here to support you. Keep going. Reach out to me. The person I picked the phone from her in South Africa. She was so surprised. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
other people were telling me send emails, and you
Oh,
pick the call just like that. I'm like, that's why
mm,
I'm here. I
mm,
know that pain, and I know Miriam is the same. Reach out to us if there is any way we can
yeah,
support you. Don't suffer in silence.
yeah.
We are already suffering a lot already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's some suffering that can be avoided. If you need to
Yeah,
talk, reach out to someone.
yeah,
Reach out, don't suffer in silence. And
yeah.
as a parent, your child is old, and if you have a child diagnosed with sickle cell and you think it's over, what is this child going to amount to? Look at me. Look at Miriam. I have 3 children. Miriam has twins. Miriam is living her life. She's going places. This is just the beginning. I'm going places too. We are both going to make a difference in our world. So don't give up on your child. Seek help. Do whatever you have to do. Don't give up on your child. And don't call your child a sickler. That's just a child with a diagnosis. And sickle cell is just a challenge. Your child can live and your child can flourish.
Amen.
So keep going. Don't
Amen.
give up.
Amen.
And
Look,
for
you're even
every,
getting me
before I
motivated.
go, Miriam, for
Yeah.
every healthcare worker watching us,
Mhm.
I'm begging you. I'm not here to judge you. Please, please, please listen. Listen, listen, listen. There are a lot of life that could be saved if we just listen. Please don't judge your patient. As long as there's no test we can conduct to show the amount of pain or suffering they are going through, please listen. Do your best to help. You know, if the patient is telling lie, you just believe the person. The
Mhm.
person know in their own conscience they are lying. But in the case of sickle cell, no, nobody could be lying for that pain. Nobody could leave the comfort of their house to come to the hospital to get whose attention. Please think of that. I'm begging you for God's sake. Please listen and do what you can to help. At the end of the day, leave no stone unturned. Know that as a caregiver, you truly cared. You truly cared. That is all we want from you. Don't be a judge. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And before we go, just want to say rest in peace to both Richard and Evan, and we're sending our prayers to their family. We
Mm-hmm.
know nothing we can say can ever change what they're going through,
Definitely.
but we are all in this together and we're standing with you, and we are going to fight in our own little way to make sure that their lives are not in vain.
Oh, yeah.
Amen. Thank you,
Amen.
everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kemi. Thank you so, so, so much. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Miriam.
all, each and every one of you. And please, if you need any other information, reach out to myself or Kemi.
Thank you, everyone.
All
Good
right,
night, everyone.
everyone. Have a blessed night.
And you too. Bye. Bye, everyone. Stay blessed. Bye.